Welcome back, Azmyth Busters. It's episode 4, and we're excited to have you joining us for the next epic portion of this tale. We're going to get right into the action. Where we left off in episode 3, our brave adventurers had finally made their way to Etrin's Folly after some challenges. But finally here, they've found their way into the only place in town where one can get a meal and a room. They found themselves in the feed mill. And at this point, everyone has managed to fill their bellies with a good meal, a decent meal compared to Cookie. Usually you come in from the road and the first meal you have is generally the best one you've had in a while. That's usually how it goes, but not for Bort's Caravan.
That's why I picked up my ale and not the food bowl last time and walked away, because I'm like, it's like anything compared to Cookie. It's like, this is garbage.
Right. By comparison, it's nothing particular to write home to Mother about. But you're finally here, and as I said, you finished the meal. We've transitioned from this kind of this food hall style for a lot of the farmers, much of the caravan employees, as well as, Flonk the Bard. So Flonk the Bard, I mentioned Flonk in the last episode. He, perhaps he's tone deaf. Perhaps that's the problem. Perhaps he's not capable of hearing such things. But Flonk is... He does his best. He tries. He certainly tries hard. And if any of you paid close attention to him, you would notice that you suspected he might be missing a string or two on his instrument, and he is in fact missing 2. And that's a lot on a lute. So he's missing a bit of his range. In addition to that, his singing is a bit off key.
So what you're saying is he's not very good at his job.
Well, it's all relative. He's the only entertainment in town. It becomes clear after listening to him play just a short amount of time that his repertoire is fairly limited, and he does not know a lot of songs. So when the food ends and the drinking begins, where is everyone staging up? Most of you have found your way to your own table, a table that's fairly centralized so that you could see the action, see what was going on around you, kind of soak in what's going on. And honestly, most of you, save for just a couple of you, most of you don't really know each other all that well either. So it gives you an opportunity for you, really for the first time outside of the caravan setting, to sit and speak to other members of this group without members of the staff and members of the caravan present. It seems to be just you at this point.
Well, I'm going to go ask Electra about herself, because I watched her slay multiple wolves in the very beginning. So I'm curious who this very tall, very strong woman is.
Yeah.
I've heard news about what happened while I was out, and I really want to hear about it too. So I'd love to know more.
Oh, you should have seen her. I couldn't believe my eyes. It was a wonder watching Electra where I was standing there down on the ground. Yeah, no wonder that wolf took me down like it did. I was too kind of dazzled by Electra, to be honest. Yeah.
All right, great. So Lyqira, Desna, both of you are kind of huddled on the Electra side of the table. So Electra, you've taken... It's an oval-shaped table, so you've taken the head position of the table because that's what you do. So they've kind of scooted up on both sides of you. And what does Desna say to Electra?
I'm just curious what you're doing here. You look way too tall and way too strong and way too pretty to be on a caravan in Etrin's Folly.
Well, dear, so I lost my family. So, I decided, well, I was ousted by my family. My father passed away, and so he was a nobleman. And he loved me, and that's where I get my strength from. And I just wanted to find some adventure and find my own way. Find some money. I need money, honey.
Very
How about
impressive
you?
fighting skills. I'm from around, me and Simon have been traveling for a little over a year now.
And you, dear?
Well, I definitely also need the money right now, but I really enjoy traveling, so I'm kind of here for the ride.
I gotta say, I've always been interested in the dwarven folk. My dad was particularly fond of them as well. I had a lot of dwarven things around, so I'm actually particularly happy to share a caravan with you, Mr. Theron.
Oh, sorry. What was that?
Even thought you're a thinker. You remind me of my mom that way.
I was just making some notes on the trip and just overhearing some conversation over here. Nothing interesting. I'm sorry.
Does anyone seen a bounty board anywhere since we've been here? Because I need to find a bounty board. I want to become a bounty hunter, so that's something I need to track down while we're here if there is one.
Not that you've seen. Granted, your time in town has been across the bridge, through the dead houses, past the Plaguestone, and to the feed mill. That's about as much of the town as you've seen up to this point.
Well, if one of the wait staff comes back, I will inquire about a bounty board or a jobs board.
Sure, certainly. The mail server, Conral, when he makes his way close enough to the table where you're like, hey, where can I find a bounty board? He just kind of looks at you with a bit of disdain and doesn't answer and keeps walking. You're like, huh.
Thanks for being rude.
The next time,
That's not very
the
nice.
female server, Trin, when she comes back by you and you ask her the same question, she's like, I don't know what that is, Simon. What is this bounty board?
Well, never mind. Then clearly there isn't one here.
Well, if I knew what it was, dear, perhaps I could tell you if there was or wasn't definitively. But
some communities post jobs, people for hire, people looking for other people looking to have jobs done, soldiers of fortune, that sort of employment.
She smiles. She says, "Soldiers of fortune in
Indeed.
Folly."
I've never been here before.
She smiles. She giggles. She says, "Well, I'm sorry to say that you will find this place a little backwards in the way we do things here. We don't have bounty boards, and there isn't that kind of work to be had here, frankly.
Well, that's no fun at all.
Yes, I'm sorry. Your fledgling career as this, what did you call it? A hunter of said bounties. I believe you will have to hunt your bounties somewhere else. I don't believe there are bounties indigenous to Etrin's Folly. I'm sorry. Can I pour you some more ale?
Sure.
I'm also going to assume you don't have a library.
A library.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't believe. Well, no, we don't have a public library per se.
Oh.
I believe there are a few collections of books here and there, but I think it would be boasting quite a bit to call it a library.
Who has the most books?
She says, "Boy, I don't know. Maybe I would suppose maybe the mayor has more books than she could." I've never counted, to be honest. I just don't know. I don't want to say because I may be wrong. You should ask Delma. If Delma's father has a collection of books, she would know far better than I. She leaves the table flustered. By the time dinner is done, the gentleman I described to you as looking fairly haggard and a drunkard is what you got from him, and fairly out of place. Honestly, he does not look like a local. He looks like he's been here for some time, but he does not look like a local. And I'll show you what this gentleman looks like. You will finally hear his name thrown around as Lauren Krent. And a few people refer to him as Sir Lauren, and that's usually followed with a bit of a snicker, but no one would dare do it within earshot of him. And that's what Sir Lauren looks like. So Sir Lauren is now, as I said, he and the bard came in fairly late in the meal portion of things. They weren't really here to eat. Sir Lauren was definitely here for one reason and one reason only, and that was to get some liquor in him. Sir Lauren is deep in his cups, leaning back dangerously in his chair, doing that kind of drunk balancy thing, like he could either fall into the table or fall onto, people walking behind him at any moment kind of thing. Another rather outspoken farmer, I guess it would be the outspoken farmer, because there aren't too many outspoken farmers out of this group, but this one particular guy, he is crass, and like many others you've seen, he is a drunkard, and you see that this man has been putting away the liquor at a far larger capacity and quicker than anyone else. The man's ability to drink is amazing. Even for Daisy, you're like, wow, this guy would make a fantastic convert. You know?
My natural barkeep kind of sense. It's like I'm keeping an eye on Elam there.
Right. So
potential trouble spot.
So Farmer Elam is he's getting his drink on, and of course, who does he gravitate towards? He gravitates towards Ulf and Ulf. So the three of them are now at a table together with one of these wagon grease kegs between them, and they're spinning the keg, and wherever the tap ends up, that person has to pull and drink. So
That's the fellow I was listening to. He says some pretty outrageous things. And I see that Gravitate likes to like.
Got a bad feeling about this.
So Elam has now convinced Ulf and Ulf and to try to part with some of their pay. Because Bort has given them, as he always does, whenever they hit a town, Bort will give his people some coin, part of their pay, so that they can have a good time while they're here. And Elam has pulled out an old set of they're tiles more than they're cards, but they're thin tiles, and these are very worn. They've been lovingly used for generations, as you can tell. They look like they were once carved from wood and then painted, and they're kind of hexagonal shaped cards, and it's both the deal of the card and the position of the card, how this thing works. Ulf and Ulf seem to know exactly how this game is played. There doesn't seem to be any instruction whatsoever, and they go right to it. As Finnick and the other servers are bringing out the last course, which is only separated by drinking. The last course it is the turnip porridge, which is a fermented turnip porridge, so it's got liquor in it as well. Setting a theme, consistent. And you see Conral, he's carrying one big tray with several of these on it. And Trin is carrying a smaller tray, and she's also got like a basket that she's hooked under her hip. And she's walking with that kind of counterbalancing, and she's walking out that way. As Colum makes his way across the room, you hold your breath for the moment as he goes behind Sir Lauren, who is leaning back like a drunk fool in his chair, doing the having a good time with it. You hold your breath for the moment as Colum manages to weave his way around the swaying man in the chair without spilling a thing. And you're like, oh, awesome. And you're like, and everybody's filled with smiles just for him to spin, turn, and run right into Elam, who is sitting down with a full ale, and he was about to drink. He got hit from behind as Colum hit him, and this ale pours all over Elam's face. It splashes all the way into his soft cloth hat, staining the brim, dripping down the sides, leaving him look like a wet dog.
I think this is what passes for the arts in this town.
Yeah, Daisy's sort of like, I gotta intercede in a second, any second now.
Elam stands up. He begins yelling at poor Conral. Seconds later, Elam begins throwing punches and knocking him over tables, and a bar fight erupts in the common area of the tavern.
Yeah, Daisy's immediately trying to like make a wall of himself, like, but it's too late. Like, they're already throwing fists, so just gonna try to shut this down.
Roll initiative.
Ah. I knew it.
Daisy, I have you at a +3 perception unless you're using something other than perception for your initiative this round.
No. But I rolled a 14 on the die, so that's a 17.
17. Thank you very much. Desna, I have you at a 5.
I rolled a 7.
All right. So 12. Thank you. Electra, you are also on a 5 perception.
I rolled a 17, so 22.
Nice. 22. Double deuce. Lyqira, also on a +5 perception.
What dice am I rolling?
A D20, dear.
Okay.
D20 is your mainstay for everything. Your bread
I
and
just
butter.
rolled a 16.
16 + 5 is a 21. Thank you. And Simon, I have you on a +4.
Yep, 7 up 4. I'm at 11.
And 11. Thank you. And Theron, I have you on a whopping 7 perception, Mr. O'Reilly.
Yeah, and I rolled a 19.
Whew, 26.
Nice.
Nice. And our farmers, oh, look at that. Our farmers, nat 20, are on a 22. Look at that. They're quick to brawl, these guys. Apparently, it's part of the culture.
Yeah. Theron's still quicker, though.
22, 22, 5, 21, 26.
The favorite performance art of Etrin's Folly.
17, 12, 11. Fantastic. All right. I will direct you, if you don't know, to page 453 of the Pathfinder Core Rulebook, which covers the rules on unarmed or non-lethal attacks. If you want to brush up on that, you may. So, Theron, at the top of the order, on a 26.
Sorry, what was the page one more time?
453.
453. Thank you.
Yeah, and it covers non-lethal attacks. So basically, if you're not pulling out weapons and basically all you're doing is fisticuffs, then you're using those rules as your guide. All right, so we have drunken farmers all over the place. We have Elam kind of being the epicenter of it, but it seems like with all decent bar brawls, once the pebble is thrown into the water, so to speak, it just kind of goes out in waves, and before you know it, furniture is being knocked over, people are getting popped in the face, mugs are being picked up, smashed over heads, chairs are being held overhead and threatening, like, come on. So it's full on. So Theron, you were at the top of the order.
Yeah. So the fellow who started swinging, everybody's swinging now, right?
Oh yeah, it's full on. It's full on at this point.
But the guy who started it, how far away is he from me?
You have a fairly centralized table. You were just off the edge of the common tavern room, so bar, main tavern room. Bulk of the fight, you guys are just slightly off of that to the side. I would say that weaving between tables to get over to him is probably going to put you at about a 40 move. If you're trying to get to the guy who started it.
Yeah. All right. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to move 20 feet. I'm going to grab my club and move 20 feet towards him.
All right.
And so that puts him about 20 feet away.
Correct.
Do I have a clear shot? If I were to throw something?
No.
All right.
You have a shot. It wouldn't necessarily be a clear one.
Okay. I'm gonna throw my club at him, which is a bit at range, and I can do that as non-lethal because I've got takedown artist. So
okay, great.
Let me make sure I can do that. Oh, but I'm short in action because I've picked up my club. I'm gonna move 20 feet closer with the club, and then also take out my sap, and that's going to be my action for the round.
Okay. All right. So move all the way up, draw on the way, you're done.
Yep.
Okay, fantastic. After Theron is Electra. So Electra, you were sitting at the same table. You're at the head of the table, so that puts you slightly farther away than Theron was. Theron was closer to the other end of the table, so where he got up and moved, it was like 40 feet. For you, it's closer to 50 because you've got 10 foot of table that you got to kind of boogie around the side of.
And where is Desna, Lyqira?
They're on either side of you. One is right here at the table. One is right next to you here, and the other one's right next to you. They were like sitting on either side of you.
Desna, Lyqira, are you planning on attacking, or are you going to finish your drink first, or what are you guys planning on doing?
Do you want to do this together?
I think we should. I mean, we didn't start the brawl, but we can sure end it together.
Being a patron of the night, I really, really want to put some people to sleep.
So the 50-foot range I told you about is if you're trying to get to the center of the bar brawl. If you just want to get over to a drunken farmer throwing blows, you only have to move 25 feet. Initially the fight immediately spread to 20-foot kind of diameter. Just everybody's up and throwing blows and throwing chairs and throwing mugs. So if you want to do if you wanted to act this round, you could. If you want to delay, you can.
Ladies, I think I'm gonna see how close it gets, and if we're needing to be pulled into it.
We can just enjoy our drinks and see how it goes.
We can, continue to get to know each other and enjoy our drinks.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. That's fair enough. Fair enough. So that brings us to the drunken farmers. And chaos. During the fight, the entire common area of the feed mill turns to absolute chaos as a dozen drunk farmers wind up in a gigantic pit brawl. For movement purposes, it is now the entire area is considered difficult terrain. And as I said, chairs, debris, tables being knocked over, the whole bit. So for the most part, the drunken fighters are basically concentrated on fighting each other. The only person who has really moved close enough to engage would be Theron. And none of them clue in on the fact that you're there, Theron. You come up right between two of them who are they're kind of towed off, kind of jabbing at each other, throwing blows at each other. And you kind of come up to the side and neither one of them know you're there.
It's good to be short.
So you are not attacked by any of the farmers. The farmers, the drunk farmers will spend all of their energy brawling with each other. And that will end their turn, which brings us to Lyqira on 21. Followed by Daisy on 17. Lyqira, it's your turn.
Well, I don't really want to get too involved in the middle of it, but my sleep does an area of a 5-foot burst. Or I'm sorry, range 30 feet, area 5-foot burst. So I think I want to do sleep in just the general area of the people that are fighting. Calm it down just near us so that we can keep enjoying our drinks.
Okay. All right. So you are casting your sleep spell on the center of the brawl.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that's...
what's the area effect of your spell? Give me the deets of your spell.
Totally. It's 2 cast points. It's a range of 30 feet and area of a 5-foot burst.
Okay.
Saving throw as will.
5-foot burst would get all the squares around it plus the center square, right?
Mm-hmm.
3, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're talking about basically it'll hit 9 targets in a 5-foot burst. What is the saving throw?
Will.
Okay.
So then when I do that, I got to scroll to the...
Tell me what your number is, and I will tell you how they do.
7 is the one that's added together.
That can't be right.
For Will?
Yeah, your DC
Wisdom,
should be
5
higher.
Prof.
Your DC should be a lot higher. It's the number that they have to roll against.
It's going to be on that last page, like here. It's going to be on that last page with your spells at the top in the top left corner.
Okay.
There's going to be a number there. Do you see what I can pull it up. I can't remember what the
Spell
box is.
DC is 14.
Correct.
14.
There you go.
Perfect.
There you go.
All right. So their will save is +2. And as I said, you're doing a 5-foot burst, which basically covers 9 squares. Everybody's packed in tight. So that will be 9. You will affect 9 of the drunken fighters.
So the spell DC, Mike, if I understand it, it means that they have to roll better than a 14 or they're affected by the spell. Is that how that works?
Correct. And to what severity? So the first 4 are a 13, that is a fail, an 8, that is a fail, an 8, 8 modified to 10, that is a fail. A 2 to a 4 is a critical fail. So creature falls unconscious. If it's still unconscious after 1 hour, it will wake up automatically. So that's him. Failure, creature falls unconscious. If it's still unconscious after 1 minute, it wakes up automatically. So that's 4 of them that have fallen asleep. Now the other 4 fail, success. So that's 3 more. So that's 7. And then the last guy is a success. So 7 out of 9 of the drunken farmers fall to sleep.
Now that's impressive.
They're way too
Pretty
loud.
impressive. Yeah, it's
That's
pretty
the
impressive.
business of the night shit.
Did you want to move, or did
That's
you want
actually-
to stay right where you're at, sitting at the table?
No, I'm drinking with my girls.
Okay.
Nice.
Daisy, you are up on 17, followed by Desna on 12.
Yeah, basically Daisy's keeping a lookout for mismatches. If there's like a big guy, like, you know, ganging up on a pipsqueak, you know, Daisy's gonna step in on that one.
I would say for the most part, everyone is fairly evenly matched. There aren't any obvious, picking on the little guy kind of situations. The worst mismatch that you'll see is like younger men fighting with older guys. Like, God, how could you?
Or maybe if
how could
you
you
know,
hit that guy? He's old enough to be your granddad. What are you doing? That's kind of the only mismatch that you really saw.
or if anyone's like taking things a little too far, maybe like, got the guy down, but he's like kicking him, or like, still ramming his fist in his face, even after like he's obviously like.
So we had a dozen fighters. 7 of them just went down from the sleep spell.
Good one, Lyqira. That was nice.
The remaining, the remaining 5 or 6 people who are still fighting, they were on the periphery because they were outside of the burst of the magic spell. And interestingly enough, most of those guys are just using fisticuffs. It was the guys in the middle where it was really intense, where they were hitting people with mugs and breaking empty kegs over people's heads and like really getting into it. So for the most part, you've got just a few people left, and the fight is immediately losing momentum and starting to die down as they're like pop, they're looking over and seeing people sleep and taking a hit, and they're like, okay, I'm done.
Then basically, like, I'm gonna go to the nearest one.
Yep.
And so I guess move for my 1 action.
Okay.
And then just grab the nearest one.
So it's hindering terrain. So your move of 30 gets you 15 through the crowd.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just gotta find the nearest, closest one. And just grab him by the scruff and just like with a hard yank, just like try to pull him apart. And then maybe for my 3rd action.
So you're making an unarmed strike attack on one of the farmers.
I'm doing a reposition combat maneuver.
So here's one of the interesting things about the sleep spell
Mm-hmm.
is we've got a few people in this cluster sleep. They don't fall prone. They're just kind of dozing.
They're asleep on their feet?
They're asleep on their feet.
That's funny.
Oh, wow.
That's kind of cool.
They don't fall prone. They don't release what they're holding. And they can make perception checks to try to wake up. So
That's an amazing visual.
yeah, it might be like as Theron's getting close and the spell goes off.
Yeah.
He's just like, what?
They all just kind of...
That's great.
They're all like this. That would be even creepier. That would be far creepier than
Oh, it's
people
creepy.
just
Yeah.
falling down and falling to sleep. That would
Yeah.
be creepy enough. But everybody just falling to sleep on their feet would be like, oh, fuck.
That I don't know.
so
So
I
how
didn't
that
say
was
sleep
a
and get
spell
comfy.
in my mind, actually.
So
I like that
Daisy,
better.
through hindering terrain from your side of the the table where
Yeah.
you guys were drinking and eating, it is only 15 feet to get to one of the 5 remaining or 6 remaining drunken farmers who are fighting. So you can move for your first action. It's a full move to get 15 feet. You're right up to him. As your second action, you're doing what now?
Basically, I'm not sure aware of all the, but it would have been like a repositioned combat maneuver. It's basically just like pulling that guy 5 feet away, and
You have an ability that lets you do that?
I don't know. It's what's a simple combat maneuver, a grapple or whatever.
You sure about that? What page you pulling it from?
I don't know. What are
You
what
know.
combat maneuvers?
You can't just make it up. Come on now.
Well,
Can't just make it up.
reposition is a combat maneuver in First Pathfinder.
Oh,
Yeah, but this
Yeah,
isn't
but
first
we're not-
Pathfinder.
I
This
know.
is second.
We're not
What's
playing
we're not
first
playing
pass.
that.
Well,
We're not playing that.
Oh, I know, but that what's the? I haven't checked out the combat maneuver system.
You should do
You
that.
can grab somebody.
Yeah, I just want to
You
grab them,
can.
pull them apart.
you can grab somebody.
Yeah.
Is that what you want to do?
That's what I want to do for my second, and then for my third, just kind of like shout a bark, maybe like group intimidate. Come on, break it up. Use my booming voice.
Okay. Let's see. So in the future, if you're going to pull something out of your head like that, give me a rule page and have it looked up ahead of time instead of giving me a gotcha that has got to derail me just a little bit to try to find it, because I can't find the grab attack. I don't know
It's
where
in
it is.
athletics in the skill section.
All right, thank you. All right.
There is also a shove. So grapple and shove are the two things you want to look at. That's page 242 and 243.
Okay, so grapple's going to let you grab somebody. Shove is going to push somebody. It doesn't look like either one of these are going to actually reposition. But once you have somebody grappled, then you could, in following rounds, I believe you can take control of them and move them around.
All right.
Or you can just punch somebody. Grab a creature and object with your free hand, attempting an athletics check against the target's fortitude DC. You can grapple a target you already have grabbed or restrained without having a free hand. Or you can shove someone. Critical success moves them 10 feet. Success moves them 5 feet. Failure, you don't move them at all.
So yeah, then maybe grab and just pull. So I guess if it's success, moving them 10 feet. That's what would happen. If I make a athletics check versus their fortitude DC, or for less.
But that's not grab, that's shove if you want to move them.
And fort DCs are base 10 plus his save. Or is
Correct.
is it 15 plus his save? It's 10.
10.
Okay. All right, got it. So you can make that athletics check to try to beat his fort DC to try to grab him.
That's no way. 7.
7. Okay.
Yeah.
So you move up to him, you reach out to grab him just as he's kind of doing this drunk duck and weave thing. You go to grab him and he doesn't even know he's not even really reacting to you. He's reacting to the other guy he's fighting with, and you just kind of reach out and
He's just like a noodle. I can barely get a hold of
yeah,
him.
he's just not there. On 12, Desna, followed by Simon on 11. Desna. There's
I'm also
basically-
not going to get up from my seat. I'm still laughing about everyone sleeping while standing up. I
Okay.
thought Mistress of the Night did a great job on that. So
Having a nice giggle, yeah.
I don't feel that much of a need to move from my seat, but I will cast Daze in the general direction of everyone else who's still fighting. And that has a range of 60 feet. So I think I should be able to hopefully reach the rest of everyone else.
Sure. No, you're well within range. So you said you're casting the Daze spell,
Yes.
and that's single target or area of effect? Single target.
Single target.
Oh, dang. Well,
So who is that single target?
whoever looks the most rowdy, I don't give it much thought. I just glance in the general direction. The first person I see, I'll cast Gaze at them.
Okay. All right. So from where you're at, you see the group of 7 out of 9 who fell asleep on their feet. The other 2 are just kind of standing there, kind of looking around, kind of confused. And, perhaps one of those 2 guys would be one of the guys that you would pop with your days.
Perfect. I don't
Okay.
even look in the direction. I just go.
All right. So that is going to require a will saving throw from him. He is going to try to make that will saving throw. What is his DC saving? What does he need to save against your spell?
17.
17. Jeez. 12 plus 2 is a 14. That will fail. The jolt deals mental damage equal to your spell casting ability modifier. The target must attempt a basic will save. If the target critically fails the save, he's also stunned. So he did not critically fail the save. So what is your spell casting modifier?
Is that the one
That
of
would be
the
your charisma. That would be your charisma modifier as a sorceress.
charisma modifier?
Yeah. So at your ability, is it a 4?
Oh, 4. Yeah, 4.
Plus 4. Okay. So that attack does 4 points of damage to him. 13, 16. Okay. And you see him, he's confused, looking around, trying to see what the hell's going on. People are falling asleep on their feet around him. And then he kind of looks over towards you and you're like, that's my Huckleberry. And you pop him and you see him you see his eyes kind of tighten up and twitch. And he's not having a good time. Excuse me. He's not having a good time. Do you want to take another action? Your daze was a 2-action cast. You may take your last action if you like.
I think I'm just gonna have a little laugh about that guy and have a drink, and I'll sit back and let the rest of it sort itself out.
Sure. You giggle and point at the crowd falling asleep. You pop one of the days and you pick up your drink, and you have yourself a good slug. Simon on 11. Out of the bottom of the order, we have Simon, followed by Theron at the top of the order.
Is there anyone in range that I can? Is there anyone in range that I can reach and attack?
Is there anyone in range that you can?
Is there any? Are there any fights that I can? Are there any fisticuffs that I can involve myself in? So I want to move towards. You mentioned that there was an older gentleman being pummeled by a younger gentleman, so I want to head towards that.
That's the same fight that Daisy approached, and Daisy came up behind the younger guy and tried to grab him. So you can also, because you're coming from the same side of the table that Daisy was on, you can also reach this pairing of drunken fighters in a single move, even with the hindering terrain.
Okay, and I would I do not want to grab him. I would like to try a strike.
Okay, you're doing a non-lethal open hand,
non-lethal unarmed strike. Gonna go for the crotch shot.
Okay, fantastic.
Let's see here, and I definitely did not hit because I rolled a 1 on the die. Swing and a miss. Swing and a miss.
Right. What does that modify to?
What is unarmed strike? So I know I have expertise in unarmed, but I don't know what it.
It would be your it would be +4 for expertise and your strength ability modifier added to it.
So that'd be 2 on top of that. So what's that?
So a total of 2. All right.
Well, no,
so
it's a 2. It's a 2 modifier, so it'd be a 3, I guess. If it's just those, if it's just the strength modifier and the roll, it's a 3.
a 3, and if it's 10 less than their armor class, that's a critical failure.
Right.
Okay. All right. So you have critically failed to hit him.
Fell on my face.
You have Simon, as you come up off of this guy, you're trying to go for the soft package attack. You're going right down between his legs, and then this guy got hit in the face with a mug of ale right when the fight began. So there's a huge kind of pool of frothy, spilled ale and a little bit of blood as well from the fighting and the fisticuffs that occur. And you come in to do the awesome splits and the hit, and you do the splits and go sliding right past him, and end up 2 squares, 10 feet past where your mark was, where you planned on landing. You just kind of did these acrobatic splits, hit the wet stuff, and just kept sliding. That will end your turn.
Nice. That's awesome.
Theron at the top of the order.
Okay, I'm going to continue to make my way to my original quarry, the guy who started this whole fight.
He is standing there asleep.
He's standing there asleep.
Farmer Alum is standing there.
Oh, all right. Is there anybody around me still swinging?
There are 2 guys that are near you that did not get put to sleep. One of them is kind of holding his head. He just got zapped by Desna. And the other guy is zeroing in on you. He's doing that kind of drunk triangulation where he's swerving and he sees you and make eye contact with you and he goes, ha ha ha.
How far away is he?
5 feet. He's just a shift away.
All right, so I'll point my club at him and said, "You really want to do this?"
He gives you,
Flap. I'll devise a stratagem first.
Sure. How to hit the drunk guy with a club?
It's a good stratagem. Yeah, I rolled pretty high. I rolled a 19. So that's going to be a 26.
That is a critical success.
And this is non-lethal. I don't need to take the -2 with the club.
There's a loud, hollow, cracking sound that rings through the tavern as Theron connects with over the dreaded green wall kind of hit on his head. Stonk!
That is going to be 15 points of damage.
He goes down.
Ooh.
You woke him up and knocked him out at the same moment. You watch his eyes opened when you hit him in the head and then rolled back up and he sack of potatoes down.
I warned you.
So you have some actions left if you want them?
I have one more action left. I am going to drop the club, which is free, grab my clan dagger, looking around, making sure there's no more threats around.
Okay. Outstanding. Electra, up on 22.
Well, I turn to Desna and Lyqira and say thank you so much for your spell casting. I'm still sitting here enjoying my drink and sitting back. We're watching our group here kind of take everybody out in a non-violent way. So I'm okay. Maybe I need another drink.
Yeah, so you're just chilling and watching the fight kind of unfold and now peter out. It's definitely coming to an end. the magic that you have wielded in this fight is certainly making the difference in things. All right, so Electra's hanging back. She's going to continue to watch.
Like a badass.
The remaining drunk farmers that are here are they're definitely losing their steam. The once frenzy has now petered out to, exhausted every once in a while. One single blow with a lot of panting, a lot of grabbing hold of things because, fighting's hard. During the fight, the drunk man who was leaning in his chair, Sir Lawrence, he slipped out the front door. As soon as the fighting started, he bailed. You saw Finnick. He ran out the back. After the first round, Delma also left. And the whole time the fight was going, Bort was trying to calm things down. He got up on a table. He had a chair in one hand, and he's like, enough, no more. I'll bash you in the head. Don't you stop. Everybody calm down. So he was trying to do that the whole time to no avail. No one was listening to him.
I walk up to Bort and I'm like, if you threaten to bash somebody upside the head, you better be prepared to do it. That's how you stop a fight. And then I go back and get some more drink.
The last of the farmers peter out. And before long, it is clear that the last blow has been thrown in this particular bar fight. A few moments later, Delma returns with a man you have not seen before. And the moment he hits the scene, the moment this man walks through the door, as if it was necessary, but clearly it's no longer necessary at this point. He comes to the door and he starts screaming, all right, break it up, no more fighting. Everybody just stop. Everybody just stop. And, he's looking around, realizing that
It stopped.
The fight is long over at this point.
You're about 5 minutes too late, Ace.
So the man says, all right, everybody stop what you're doing. By command of the Sheriff of Entrance Folly. He moves about the room. He's glaring at various farmers. He stops for a moment and he stares at the standing sleeping farmers who are still held by the spell. And he kind of shakes his head a little bit and he goes, all the rest of you, y'all go over there right now to be questioned. He goes, everybody else, you go over there to be questioned. And Delma says, that's right, everyone. This will be over soon. It's just a formality. As always, the sheriff wants to ask some questions and get to the bottom of things and tell everyone what they're doing wrong. And yes. And you can definitely sense that although Delma went to go get the sheriff, she's also kind of like, challenging his authority a little bit as well.
Well, as long as he's not collecting taxes.
So Rolf makes his way to the group and he says, most of you know me. I'm Rolf Garley. I'm the town sheriff. Some of you know that. Some of you don't know that. All of you offending gentlemen, those of you who live here, you make a terrible example. You're showing a terrible way for people to be saying things about the folk of Entrance Folly. You know better. They're all kind of looking around at each other.
This is coming from the man wearing a turnip. Keep that in mind.
Right.
Oh, they're just farmers carry on,
Yeah. Yeah. Shame on you guys.
Badge. Don't disrespect the badge.
It's a fucking turnip.
He gives all the farmers a stern talking to, and sends them. And some of them will leave right away after being yelled at. Some of them will not. This is about all the offense warrants, and besides, you hear him saying to them, "Well, if I had a jail, I'd throw you in it." And at this point, the ones who have been yelled at are going over to the sleeping ones, and they're waking them up now. They're like, "Hey, hey, hey!" They're like throwing water in their face and slapping them around and waking them up. It basically comes down to everyone pointing at the server's fault. Had the server not blundered into Elam, none of this would have occurred, and Elam wouldn't have been compelled to pummel Colin's face the way he did. So after the stern talking to, you hear him say to the effect that there's no jail in town. So it's not like any harm or any foul. And from the likes of it, it looks like the most lethal wound delivered tonight was from a mug in the face, and that'll heal.
Yeah, Daisy's helping clean up.
The manager will indicate that you all helped break up the fight, and the sheriff will thank you for your efforts, and he will tell you thank you for your assistance. But your help is no longer needed. I've got everything under control. There's some laughter. There's some laughter amongst the farmers when he says that proclamation. There's some snickering, which he kind of sternly looks around at everyone like, "You better not." And
Oh, there was some snickering at our table. He didn't even have to look around. He could look right at me and see the snickering.
Yes.
And probably Theron.
It's hard to take a man seriously when he's wearing a turnip.
Right.
It is true. After the fight, Bort invites you back to his table to finish the meal, enjoy one more round of drinks, and the dessert which had just been placed on the tables as the fight broke out.
Hey, Bort, instead of eating this, can we go eat Cookie's food? Please?
Please?
Pretty please?
I'm definitely missing Cookie's food right now.
Bort winks at you. He says, "Aye, Simon, I know. But we've got to play nice with those. We don't want to be disrespecting anyone."
But they're turnips, Bort. They're turnips.
Perhaps tomorrow we'll convince Cookie to come in, and maybe Amora will let him in the kitchen.
Gotta find them some rutabaga seeds.
I mean, I love
your rutabagas and turnips. Enough.
But this is
the brine eggs are pretty good here. They're not so bad.
Yeah,
and we are very close. We are very close to closing of scene. Upon closing of episode 4, the dessert was served before the fight began, as I said, and Bort proclaims to all that the turnip porridge, I know you've all had a fair poke at the turnip, but the turnip porridge here is my favorite, and which explains the extra large bowl. Everyone else has a small bowl of it, a normal size, and Bort's got a big old kind of like, soup bowl of this stuff. And he says, I have been waiting for this since the last time I rode out of Veteran's Folly and saw it behind me. My favorite.
I'm going to just push mine over to him and say, Bort, you like it so much, you can have mine.
I like a good turnip, but it's been turnip too many tonight.
Ooh. And on that note, we are at scene ending episode 4 of the Fall of Plaguestone. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Azmyth Busters is here to serve. And Busters, we thank you for being part of the ride. Until next time, we bid you adieu.